Jack, you want to go?
You go ahead.
All right, welcome to Jack Dodson'S Racing Insider News this week. Actually, I probably need to put this up here because the mic's on it. Got to thank our marketing partners, right? Can't do it without marketing partners, right?
That's right, absolutely.
We got to thank NC811, VA811, GAC, Great American Company, Black Asset Apparel. If you need a shirt, 10 shirts, you need a shirt.
How you doing?
Bonner Brothers Distillery. Tonight would have been a good night to bring some Bonner Brothers Distillery stuff up here, Jack.
Yeah, good. I think about it.
Pepsi, NPM Marketing. If you need some help with your social media stuff and other driver suits, hats, helmets, whatever.
Before you move past NPM Marketing,
Mm-hmm.
we have a little contest going on right now. Who looks better in their driver's suit? You or
See,
me?
you set me up. I'm protesting.
You played.
It don't make no difference. You're gonna lose it no matter how you.
You can put a 47-year-old man up against a 15-year-old girl, right?
Hey, both y'all have brand new.
I know, but you said who looks better.
She
in
don't
the
sleep
suit.
in hers like you do.
Well, she's not as popular as I am.
Okay.
I still think my suit looks better. Not who looks better in the suit, whose suits looks better.
I don't think
I'm
so.
protesting.
Okay, well you protest. I'm the commissioner. Overruled.
Factory canopies. They made us this nice thing. We got some nice chairs to set. Your race teams can get those, and they make those big 10x20s that go over the car and stuff. They're really nice. They do a lot of trucks and so forth. Safety Clean, Performance Plus Motor Oil. Last but not least, but Langley Speedway. And we got to back up. Jack Dodson'S Racing Insider News is presented by Papa John's. Normally our pizza is here already.
They're working on it.
No, you got a message.
Yeah.
So we'll have some pizza here in a few, and that.
All right, we're going to do the news before we get started. And for the Smith's Wraps and Graphics Racing Roundup for this past weekend, the Cup Series, Kyle Larson got the win in the Cup Series. In the Xfinity Series, both these races were in Texas. John Hunter Nemechek got the win in the Xfinity Series. That was, and he was pretty dominant in that car. Even after he got a penalty, he came back through the field pretty fast. So that was a pretty good deal for him. Down in South Boston, they had the Cars Tour races down there. Bobby McCarty got the late model win. Travis Quapple got the super late model win. I think Bobby Carson. Carson.
I'm glad you can correct him right here.
Yeah, you're right here in front of me. Go ahead and say it.
Carson.
We have our resident.
I know how to read. That's all there is to it. You read.
Have you ever seen anything Scott wrote?
I didn't say I read what Scott writes.
He corrects me too.
Anyway, Carson Quapple got the win. Bobby McCarty got the late model championship. Who won the super late model?
Carson.
He did. Okay. See, I didn't see that yet. Shenandoah Speedway, Justin Marks got the late model win up there. Winchester 400, Sammy Smith got the win. Down at Carteret, I don't know who won the race yet. I haven't heard who won the race, but I understand the late model champion is Zach Lightfoot down there. He ended up getting the championship. At La Crosse, they had the Big 8 race out there. Jacob Gady got the win. At Poplar Bluff, Ken Schrader got the win on the dirt out at Poplar Bluff. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I got to hang around with Kenny Wallace last Thursday, and it was, all he talks about is Kenny Schrader. I think he's got an infatuation with Kenny Schrader.
Man, well, you stalked him, so I mean,
you pulled up in the driveway at his house.
Well, I did do that. I was a little nervous. But I had my wife's whole family with us, and we pulled up in there, and
didn't even just pulled right in the gate like that.
We passed the gate the first time. We come back, and I said, we got to go through them gates right there. And they all said, I don't know if we ought to do that. I said, drive through the gates and go on up there. So we go up to the shop, and there's nobody there. The lights are all.
Well, I mean, somebody's backyard,
of course, because it's a weekend in there.
So we're sitting. Well, it was Thursday. It wasn't a weekend.
Okay, what's a weekday?
So we were sitting out there, and I was getting ready to get back in the car. We were going to go ahead and leave, but then I see about 15 people come out of the house over there, and I'm thinking, oh God, I hope they ain't got guns. I don't know what they're up. But then Kenny come rolling up, and then of course he made a big deal out of the fact that we looked his address up and come up there and hung out with him. But I tell you what, he was very friendly. I mean, he spent a lot of time. I bet you we were there for an hour and a half, maybe longer, and he was really cool to be around.
How long did it take you to ask him to come on the show?
Right at the end, I didn't ask him until the end. I didn't ask him until the end. He had too much explaining to do to get to that point. I mean, we got his whole life story, saw all the trophies and everything. So anyway, here at Langley Speedway this past weekend, Grand Stock winner Chris Roberts. He is also the Grand Stock champion. The Legends race, Tommy Jackson Jr. got to win. The champion, Spencer Saunders. And that's all I'm going to say about that at this point in time. We'll see what happens down the road. In the bandos, Trey Williams got to win and the championship, and he'll be with us next week. Late model, Mark Works got another win in the late model, the 100 weight model race. Brendan Queen got his second championship. In the Pro Sixes, some cat named Travis Wall won again. Somebody said Scott Allen was in that race, but I was there. Anyway, you finished second. How far behind were you?
Oh, I was riding at the end. He actually was funny because Travis come over. He's like, "Man, you fell out of the seat." I said, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "I looked at your lap times. You fell out of the seat." I was like, "No, bitch. I was waiting for a caution because we were gonna get aggressive. I was gonna have some tires left. I wasn't gonna catch you. It was 10 to go." I was like, "It looks like there might be a caution, so we're gonna save our stuff."
Rodney Davis said you were over a half a lap behind.
Because I was riding.
That's a good excuse, anyway. In the Enduros, Cody Bryant got to win, and the champion for the Enduros this year are Charlie Bryant. October 30th is the Beluzzo modified race, championships in other divisions, the trucks, super streets. That's a pretty good deal.
Super streets,
Cards,
cars. Is it you cars?
probably.
And how about Connor Hall going down to South Boston and winning the pole down there in South Boston? That was a pretty big deal.
It ended up third?
Yep.
That was a pretty big deal for him. But anyway, and so everybody go to my page, my racing page, and my regular page, and vote for Phoenix Kimball to win the thing for the driver uniform. Right now, I don't even think it's close.
Oh boy.
So
I got some votes in there. I'm protesting.
well, most of them are your relatives and stuff like that, and a couple of them I'm not really sure about their
Status.
yeah. Because a couple of them said, "No, you look good in your suit." It scared me when I looked at it. All right, driver of the week this past week. The driver of the week is Jacob Derrick. He got more votes than everybody else, so we have to give it to Jacob Derrick. But I know he had a hard time, and I felt sorry for him. So
I did too, because the kid has been really impressive this year. I mean, I talked to his dad the last race, and I was like, man, regardless of what happens with the championship, it's a pretty successful season. When you come in your rookie season and not really having anything but running a bando and sit on some poles, but win 3 races.
Something like that.
To Spencer Saunders and hell, they were tied going into that race. Were they? Yeah,
No,
Spencer had a point.
yeah,
they were tied before that the week when I seen him, and then Spencer beat him, so he was up by 1.
So anyway, that's the week that has passed. So now we have our Gen X people here. Look at here, all the Gen X. I've been wearing my Gen X shirt. Only thing I don't like about this hat is it's still got Davey Callahan's number on it.
Uh-oh.
Maybe we'll have to get you another.
We'll have to get you a Gen X, an official Gen X hat. How's that?
Okay, yeah, that'd be better. So y'all gonna have Davey back with you next year?
So the program with Davey was us assisting Davey, set up crew chiefing, technology in the car, setups, things like that to help Davey succeed. And
So in other words, Davey couldn't have done it without y'all.
well, let's back up. Take 41 out of it. Davey is a hot shoe.
That's right.
He is a great driver and
Just the-
has been successful in anything he's been
Yes, he has.
riding, as in dirt bikes or cars he has driven.
And Jack, you've had him on the show before,
Yeah.
so I mean, you've heard his story, but Davey jumped in a Gen X Motorsports car year before last, and I mean, never practiced the car and went straight to the front. I think he finished, well, we were on the outside of the front row with 5 laps to go, and unfortunately we didn't win that 50-lap race, finished third, but Davey jumps in every one of our cars, and like I said, just like Wayne said, he's a hot shoe and a very talented driver, but jumped in our cars and took him straight to the front. So
Yeah, and I felt sorry for him in Martinsville. I saw him right after qualifying at Martinsville, and he was, he was kind of looking dejected, but but I still think he did well.
Yeah, I mean, and considering, and he had that conversation with you, so he ran all year with a Harrington stock motor, without the upgrade. Went to Martinsville, knew that he would be down on horsepower.
It's not the place to do it.
But driving wise, give him credit. He was at the transfer spots to get in, and he got monster truck big time.
Yeah.
In 2, so that's how his weekend ended up.
Well, tell us a little bit about Gen X Motorsports.
How did you guys get started?
Yeah, how did you get started?
Go ahead, Woodard.
well, we've known each other for over 35 years, and in
I'm
various
sorry.
well,
Our other brother's sitting in the corner.
that's right. We've been together for a very long time. Worked with Charlie Dole Racing in the Norfolk area.
Lord.
Worked back with Chip Hudson, Phil Warren era.
Throwing out some names.
Hippy went to Laughlin Racing. He's been around Southside Speedway forever and a day. We decided to get together, we met each other. We went racing, went apart from each other, and I guess in our golden years, if you will, we decided we had been discussing putting a team together and building off each other's strengths. Hippy with the chassis side of it, the fabrication side of it, Wayne with the media, owning a business as well, myself running multiple businesses. We put this program together and we decided to go racing. We've had multiple years of success, I would feel. We started out with Bradley Kilby, had success with him, won several races with him. And we've won with multiple drivers. Cameron Burke this past year, we got 2 wins. One with Davey Callahan, a couple races this year in late model. And our program just keeps getting stronger.
Well, that's good. I mean, it's a good program. I mean,
Well,
you
it's
guys
about
have-
driver development and who we can help, so we're helping some bando stuff, and we have other people that we're on phone with. We share technology. Gen X has, set up systems. We have pull down rig, those things at our beach shop. We have 8,000 square foot there to work in. And so we're about rental programs.
How hard is it to run the program from Virginia Beach when, a lot of people, I mean, the local guys are all in the area, but I mean, you got guys coming to drive for you that are up in Thornburg and everywhere. How hard is it for you to get all that together?
So Dominion has test on Fridays, race on Saturday. They're basically show up and drive programs.
Right.
We know our end of the business to bring them a good piece. It's no matter what they do once they're in the car.
So how much input do you all have during the race with them? I mean, do y'all stay there with them and give them complete input on what's going on?
Well, as Gen X, when you hire Gen X to handle the vehicle, we handle the total package. We spot for you. We supply 2 Gen X personnel at each car for each individual race. Throughout the year, we have had,
3.
We've had 3 actually at one time. So I normally spot for 1 car. Hippy normally has the other car. We have Wayne downstairs that he's relaying information to us from the inside of the racetrack. We're relaying information from the outside of the racetrack. Good communication with our drivers, try to stay even keel with them, coach them as we see different lines change throughout the race, make adjustments under caution, whatever the driver can do inside the car. It's very exciting.
Now, how big is your facility out there at Virginia Beach? I need to come out and see this.
Yeah, 8,000 square
8,000
foot.
square foot building. we have our setup. We have our setup area. We have our staging area. All the hauler gets loaded on Thursday afternoon, Thursday night, and leaves Friday morning to go to Northern Virginia. And we've had a wonderful sponsor this past year with Best Western Plus. By the way, we need to throw our sponsors in there as well, which is one of your sponsors, Smith's Wraps and Graphics.
Yeah.
I mean, they have done a wonderful job on all of our cars throughout the years. We had Best Western Plus this year as one of our sponsors, so it definitely made it much easier for us to drive
Travel,
there,
hotel
to travel
rooms,
from
correct.
Virginia Beach, to stay up there Friday night after the test, be ready to go Saturday morning there at the racetrack.
Now, Hippie, I know you've been around for a long time, but who all have you worked with? I mean, I know you got some.
How long is the
How
show?
long is this show?
Well,
Don't let
I'll say a long time.
Come on,
Give him credit.
Come on over here. Come on over here and talk to Jack.
no, that's all right. You stay
You
right
can
there.
come over here.
Well,
Come
however
on.
y'all want to do it, but I mean, I know I've heard of, I've been hearing hippie all the years.
Was it good?
Some of
Probably
it
not.
wasn't.
Probably More than likely not.
But I mean, who all have you worked with? I mean,
It's a lot of them.
were you ever down in the Charlotte area working?
13 years.
Oh, okay.
From 90 to 2003.
Who'd you work with down there in the Charlotte area?
Ward Burton, Jeff Burton, Dick Trickle, Shauna Robinson, Patty Moise.
Were you with Jeff Burton when he was with
Stavola Brothers.
Stavola? Okay, yeah.
We won Rookie of the Year with him in '94.
And that's an amazing story, if I can tell you real quick, Jack.
Yeah, tell me that one.
So,
Now my daughter is a Jeff Burton nut. She loves Jeff
I'm
Burton.
sorry to hear that.
And we would go to Stavola, and I don't know if I can't remember the girl's name that was the PR girl there, or was doing whatever it was in the office. Or
What year
whatever.
was
The year he won, right? The next year after he won Rookie of the
it? Her
Year.
name was Kelly.
Kenna, that's it, Kenna. And we would go down there, and she had free run of the place down there when she went around. So I probably saw you down there and didn't know who you were, but anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Go, you were talking.
no, he was working for A.G. Dillard, and then he went to work for Laughlin Racing, and that's where he and I actually met each other. And
Well, no, we hooked back.
we hooked back up, and we worked with Shauna, while he was there at Laughlin's.
Tell the
And
stories
He,
of Laughlin.
he was.
Laughlin was an interesting place to work. I heard.
We were in Norfolk, Virginia, and he said, "Hey, Jeff's in Virginia Beach at the Pavilion this weekend. Why don't we go down there and talk to him?" We had just come back from Atlanta, so we walked into the Virginia Beach Pavilion. The auto show was going on.
Stood in line like all the other fans would.
Next thing you know, Jeff spots him because he's short, as you know. He's
Yeah.
6'5" or 4, but he's short. So he motioned both of us up there and gave him the phone number to call him the next day. And he loaded up the little red Honda pretty much the next day and headed to Charlotte.
That's true.
And that's about the last time I saw him for about, 10 years?
No, maybe.
Almost 10 years he stayed down there at that time.
That had to be an interesting place to work at Stavola too. I mean, that
Pretty fun.
yeah, 'cause
Working for Dick Trickle was a lot of fun.
I can imagine that was an experience. But I mean, after the years of Jeff Burton, he won the Rookie of the Year and everything. The the Robustus car. Yeah, that's my daughter fell in love with that thing. So,
Yeah.
But that's cool. I mean, I'm glad you. Now tell us some stories about Laughlin because
Oh, boy.
I've been down there a couple times and you
Well,
don't
I
want to tell.
will not breathe one word about any stories from Laughlin. I worked with some real characters down there. That's all I'm going to tell you.
Well, I only went down there like 2 or 3 times. I took some cars for Travis Miller when he was in the Hooters Cup Series, and we went down to Laughlin and went down there. And yeah, it seemed to be an interesting place because there was a lot of characters running around there when I
Was it
was.
still Laughlin then? Or had
Yeah,
it
Mike
changed?
Laughlin and everything. It was still Laughlin when we went down
So
there.
was Chubby there?
Who?
Chubby.
I don't remember that.
Chubby was Mike's right hand man.
Oh, that's probably who the guy we saw him talk with then, because I think Matt Miller talked with them, not necessarily Mike himself, but talked to them
Right.
and got it set up for us to come down there.
Oh, yeah.
Worked with some great guys. I mean, rest his soul. Kenneth Campbell was really good. He was with Laughlin as a crew chief, and went to work for NASCAR.
Well, went to work for Bruco for a little bit, worked for Jeff Purvis for a little bit, and then he went to work for NASCAR.
It was a good
That was
good bunch of
anymore.
group.
That was
Good
the good times
Mhm.
back
That
in
was
the
a
day.
sweatshop for them guys.
It was a lot of fun, but it was a ton of work.
Well, my son after he left Travis Miller. He went to work a little bit later. He went to work for James Finch in Spartanburg, and there was a lot of going back and forth with them, going back and forth to Laughlin and doing some stuff with them, and that was an experience. Some of those guys were.
Finch was a character now.
Yeah, and like you said a minute ago, I'm not going to tell any of them
Tell them
stories either,
stories, right?
because I was involved in some of
Yeah,
them.
96 and 97, I worked for Ernie. I run his truck team for him.
Oh,
800 Collect and the Federated Auto Parts.
yeah.
Had Brian Refner, and then the next year we had Boris.
Oh,
Boris was a character.
yeah. There, every time I turned around, I see my son on Sports Center, he's fighting, and 2 or 3 times it was Boris that was in the ring.
Don't ever let Boris get his hands on you. That's all I'm going to tell you.
Well, my son was grabbing him and trying to pull him away from somebody. That was a pretty cool deal. Now, how long have you been around the sport?
So growing up, we've all been doing it 40 years at least. Going to Charlie Doyle's, sweeping the floor and picking up wrenches. That's where I started. The year he built the Buick, so that was like the thing here.
Mm-hmm.
And so growing up around Elton Sawyer was running in, and Bubba, and let's see, Wayne Hanbury. So those were all Phil, Charlie, Wayne Hanbury, Ray Platt, Bill Champion. We all lived in the same. Me, Woody, we all lived in Norview, all the same neighborhood.
Well, Junie Nelson.
Yep,
those
Junie.
guys.
Well, that's
Junie's still around.
yes. So me sweeping and picking up tools, and as things would get done, Junie would look at you, and he would explain. And I was 11, 12 years old then. Woody was coming around when his dad would let him out of the tow truck. And so did that for a while. Then we took over Chip Hudson for a year. Chip won and took care of his car in-house at Charlie's. Chip won a championship. It won multiple championships, but at that time we did a championship.
the last
That was
one,
the black 16 car.
Mm-hmm.
Barry Stratman bought out
Charlie Doyle's.
Charlie Doyle stuff.
Yeah.
Then Pop wanted to get into dash. He was messing with many stocks over here and got with Joe Furby, and they decided to do the dash racing. So I jumped in the dash racing. Then we did some truck stuff, and then just went away from it. And got hooked up with them again and decided that we were going to do it. We're going to do it as a business and not be spending money out of our pocket every week. Somebody's going to pay us. We own all the equipment, and then they pay us to make sure they can run up front.
So is there anything you guys won't work on, and what do you guys mainly do?
Call me if you want to set up your Pro 6 car.
If
Put
it's
it on the pull down rig. We'll
Only-
get you up front.
Only
buddy.
thing I refuse to work on is wood. Oh, that's with nothing wood.
Yeah, he's a
That's it.
fabricator. That's why.
If it's metal, we can do it.
It's and this is going to caveat into another upstart business with Gen X Technologies. We're in the process of putting that program together right now, and in 2022, that's what's going to come out of that shop as well in Virginia Beach. The best part, we have all of our cars are the same chassis wise. We run big spring cars. Billy Banks does our engines. So when we get an engine from Billy Banks, he's already dynoed it. So when we put it in a rental program, that rental car is the same as this rental car is the same as this rental car. We took on Andrew Lang this year. He drives the 39 car up at Dominion Speedway. And so it doesn't have to be our car. Took his car in, and he's had multiple races and success.
He's had success, top 5 finishes where he wasn't achieving top 8.
Well,
Great
runs.
race car driver. Great young man.
Let's say one of these guys brings you a car,
Mhm.
you know, down there, their car.
Mhm.
I mean, you work on how in depth do you go through their car?
It depends on how in depth they want.
We can go all the way down to the chassis as far as changing the colors. We can,
Right.
we can change suspensions. We can change, heights. We can change bodies. We can change
Upper,
you know,
lower,
upper,
spindles, springs, shocks, it'll, whatever package they are looking for.
So in all three of you guys, and you know, you're back here now working out of Virginia Beach. But is there any thoughts of somewhere down the road expanding out and maybe getting a truck series or an ARCA car or anything like that?
No.
When we sat, Jack, when we
We
sat
do this
down,
for fun. That is no fun on
Okay,
that.
well, I'm just asking.
when we sat down and discussed this and put our business plan together and our business model, it was based off of late model stock cars. We've had so much fun and success in late model stock car series through our lifetime. And let's stay with things that we can change, lives that we can change with younger people coming into the sport,
Yeah.
or even stepping up from a Bandolero, from a Legends car that is looking to take their program to the next level. And just like Hippy was just mentioning, is that when you have to purchase all of the tools and all of the hauler and the truck and the trailer, and it's coming down to time.
Mm-hmm.
Time to work on the car, time to get people together. So when we come to the barn, we have specific nights that we work on the cars. I live there at the barn, right in front of the barn, so it's much easier for me to get there every single night. But we go down our checklist and what the client is looking for. We start all the way from, okay, did you gain any weight this week? Believe it or not, when we go to set up. I mean, that's how. And when we come to the racetrack, we're on point.
All right, say you got two cars going out there. You said you had 2 cars going out every week. Does everybody work on both cars, or do you have a separate?
One, for instance, we were at Dominion this year.
3 of them.
Had 2 cars there at the same time. Driver went out to qualify, clutch come out of it in qualifying. We got everything cleared out the way. When he came off racetrack qualifying, we put it in the hauler, raised it up. All hands on deck, pulled the transmission out, changed the clutch, and within 20 minutes, we were out the hauler. Car's ready to go again. The driver thought he was done for the night. It's all hands on deck.
So it's a group effort as far as
Correct.
All right.
Absolutely.
So there's nobody specifically assigned to this car and say that's what you're going to be doing, and we're going to work over here on this one. And
Well, that's where when we start that way, when we start the night.
okay,
And he's
Not me.
he's
I'll
bouncing
bounce.
to 2 to 3 different cars. Hippy's basically, and Wayne are basically on one. Myself, I have a tire specialist that works with me on the car that I'm with. So therefore, when I need technical support from Hippy, when I need technical support as far as tires from Wayne, they in turn give to me. When they need mechanical, I'm the one jumping in for mechanical. So it's a huge team effort when it comes down to making our drivers succeed.
Wayne, speaking of tires,
Yes, sir.
how has this season been for you with the tire situation? I mean, I know what happened at Martinsville. You and I talked about that already. I mean,
Right.
we talked about down there when that happened.
So at Dominion, we run the McCreary's.
All right.
Late model, 10-inch, 8-inch on the limiteds or whatever they want to call.
Dominion race.
Yeah, Dominion racers. So we were on a 2-tire for the Dominion racers all year
With no practice tires.
with no practice tires. Yeah. So yeah, we had the no practice thing, but if you back up, so they ran during COVID. There was challenges then getting tires.
Yeah.
But I think whatever they did with McCreary, they had positioned themselves to have enough inventory for the Dominion, just no practice tires is what happened. As for the late models, doing Davies tires with his dad or whoever I was helping, you would get tires. You had no problem getting a set of practice tires and race
And
tires.
race tires.
So
The Martinsville to me, it put guys like Davey and those guys that who run a different tire at another
It was
place.
a disadvantage.
It's a
Puts them at a disadvantage.
Especially not having
They
a
put
tire.
everybody at a disadvantage.
When I'm not going to argue with you or disagree with you. I disagree with that because
You were standing next to me.
I saw stuff
You were standing next to me.
when some things happened
Mhm.
that some people didn't have this problem that some of these other teams had.
Yeah,
I'm not saying nothing to you, Mason. Keep your mouth shut.
This is
Mason was-
that look of, did you expect otherwise?
But
No, I
Mason-
didn't. Really, I didn't.
Mason was close to where that was going on, and you did. You looked over there and it's 18 sets
Oh,
of
yeah.
tires.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about now.
Yeah. So again, that is what it is. We didn't run that tire. We didn't have that tire. The nice thing is when we were in that situation, all I had to do was walk around the corner and go and talk to Hippy's dad, Mr. Strothers, Papa Doug, we call him, which does the tires on Bean's car.
Mhm.
And hey, help me here, mentor, your input, how should we go about it? And so, yeah, it was what it was. Most of the people there were on the same playing field as we were. And
I would say most, yeah, but
Yeah.
there was a few that were not on the same playing field.
it's all good.
And I'm not going to call names, but
And that's good. That's okay.
because I remember coming in the racetrack. I think it was Saturday when I was coming into the racetrack. There was a truck backed up to the walk through
To the tunnel.
to the tunnel, and they were throwing tires down through the tunnel to get them to the team out on the pit road. Now, where they were coming from, I heard was from the shop that they had already had built up, tires, and they were, you could bring what you had, you could bring with you.
Correct.
I see a whole lot of smiles in here, but
Diversity on tires.
There's so many fun strategies going on.
it was wild. I mean, I was walking around looking at how some of these guys were doing stuff, and I was thinking, I'm not sure they're in the same playing field as some of these other guys.
Well, it's difficult. And like I said, you work through it. Davey, I believe Davey got some good experience this past
Yeah.
time at
Mhm.
Martinsville, something to build on for next year or the next time he goes back. And it's an experience that I think every racer wants to enjoy, is going to that racetrack.
Right.
Whether when we used to go to Richmond International Raceway, everyone wanted to go to that race. Everyone wanted to go to the 2 times we went to Martinsville. Used to
Yeah.
went to Triple when the modifieds and the Busch cars were running together. It was just something that we all looked forward to at either the beginning of the season or the end of the season, depending on how your winter went building your cars.
Yeah, and like you said, David got some good experience up there, and I mean, he'll be stronger next time he comes back. And
That's right.
A little bit, he got it.
That's right.
But don't tell him I like him because I don't want him to know
Absolutely
that.
not.
Don't tell him
Absolutely
that.
not.
He already knows.
But I understand that Langley Speedway is going to be running the limited late models this year
Right.
here, and
It'd be nice to be close to
it
home.
would be nice to be close to home.
So you got cars ready, is what you're saying?
I'm telling you, it's nice as opposed to driving past a racetrack to come to your home racetrack.
Well, that's something that I had always wondered, and I don't know if I maybe attempted to reach out to someone. I think it was you, maybe, or something that like, why are you guys in Virginia Beach and go all the way to Dominion?
It's money.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we talked about that.
And our program, our program is affordable for what you get, for the technology that you get, for the cars that you get, for the preparation that you get, for the engines. I mean, everyone knows it's purchased a race engine, knows that they're not inexpensive.
With no guarantees.
And there's no
No.
guarantee that they're going to run. There's no guarantee that they're going to perform. We've had very, very great success with Billy Banks race engines. We've taken cars down to the chassis dyno to have him run those on. I've seen him and Tanner work all day long on one car just to do nothing but run and run and run and run until they got every ounce of everything that they could by the rules out of that motor. And it's worth the expense. And when you show up and you don't have to worry about buying tires or purchasing fuel, that's all in our package together. So when you walk in with your bag and your helmet, you're ready to go.
And we encourage you to bring a couple of friends because
Absolutely.
then we will allow them to assist. You know, and that way their friends can get involved or understand what they're doing.
Mhm.
Oh, that's cool.
Now, how do you keep your secret technology a secret? I mean, if you guys are setting somebody's car up and they take it to the racetrack, is there a, I don't know, silent
disclosure?
contract? Yeah, pretty much.
How much do you share? Is what do you?
That we really don't share.
We really don't share what we put in the car.
Right.
We make adjustments after the fact based on what the car is performing in the
Right,
racetrack.
at the time, you know, which, as you know, track temperatures or what the day is or any of the above.
Hippie, do you still enjoy it like you did at the beginning?
Come on, hippie.
It's time for you to go around.
Come on.
Amy
Come on,
Music
brother.
says y'all are not cheap.
Amy, look, she's benefiting coming by that shop. We're making
I know,
sure
that's like y'all
we're
really,
taking care of Riley.
I know. I see Riley running around with the Gen X hat. And I'm
That's
like,
right.
Look at his
Tell
wheels.
her when she can go to Florida and I get thrown out of a racetrack and she can talk about what we do, but not until then. I don't want to see
What
that.
are
As
you
long
trying
as
to
she
say?
don't
The
go
apple don't
Barbara
fall from
on
the
you.
tree.
As long as you don't go Barbara on you.
Exactly.
But back to my question: do you still enjoy it as much as you used to back in the?
Enjoy the wins.
You enjoy the wins.
If you don't win, it ain't fun no more.
And I think that's what pushes us on is that we keep bouncing. And do we have heated conversations? Absolutely, because we're all competitors. Yeah, all three of us are competitors. We're used to winning, and that's what pushes us further is bouncing stuff off of each other to find out what's going to make us win, what's going to get us to the next checkered flag. And whether it's with Andrew Lang, whether it's with a new driver, whether it's a different driver, whether it's an experienced driver, doesn't matter as long as we get in victory lane.
So basically, what you're saying, you could even help somebody like Scott.
Amy says she got clarified. She said motors, not Gen X. She's backing up. See, she's sucking up now.
Yeah, we can help Scott. I mean, excuse me. We can make sure that his car is
I
I have no control. I
Got
don't
no
hold
control
steering
over
wheel.
once he puts the feet on the pedals.
I'm gonna bet Scott up. You do any starting park rides? Jack could use one.
Jack, I have a seat that will fit you. I can assure you of that.
Let's go back to Scott. Let's go. Hold on. Let's go back to Scott. I spent 3 years at the Coliseum in the daggone arena cars with Scott. I promise you, there is not enough help in this room for Scott. Scott's got to help himself before you can help Scott.
I know. That I remember very well.
Between him and the driver that drove for me at the time, they both ended up on their roofs a whole lot that 1 year.
told you.
He
This
was
is one of the ones. I told you.
On the show last week, Lynn. Yeah.
I was like, yeah. He's like, the whole team was telling me I needed to wreck you, Scott.
Who, Lynn?
Yeah.
Well, look, there was a guy that raced there, and the guy was, like Lynn, was not very experienced, and Lynn wrecked him. They went back green, and Lynn wrecked him again. So the guy, myself and a guy named Vernon Wesson were spotting for Lynn. I was just kind of up there in the spotter stand. So about the fourth or fifth time that Lynn had wrecked Nate.
Okay. Yeah.
Spotter comes over there and says, "How many more times are y'all going to wreck him?" And I looked at Vernon. Vernon looked at me, and we said, "One more time." Sure enough, coming off four, Lynn hooks Nate, turns the car on the side, and all you see is Nate's arm come out the window to catch the car to set it back on the wheels.
Mm.
Yes.
That was an experience back in those days.
They were
arena
fun.
cars.
It was a lot of drama, but it was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of drama.
You missed the Hampton years.
Yeah, I wish I would. Yeah.
They took me out there in handcuffs one night.
Oh, gracious.
Imagine that.
That's hard to
Over
believe.
Charles, it was over Charles Russell.
That's even.
I know.
When you start stringing these along, handcuffs come out, and
It was over Charles Russell. A guy was going to hit him.
as nice as he is.
A guy was going to hit Charles Russell. A younger man had his helmet and was going to hit Charles Russell with his helmet. So
Imagine that.
Was
I
that
feel like-
Cody Carlton?
no, it was
They were calling
What
it
was the
A's
boy's
House.
name that ran Saluda? Blue number
Francis.
2 car? No,
No.
just
I'm drawing a blank.
James. His dad's name is James. I can't remember now. But yeah, that
You're gonna get a text when our pizza gets here.
Oh boy.
that was a interesting night. And
Well, it couldn't have been any more interesting. Scott turning around on track and going the opposite
Well,
direction.
look, this was the same year. Me and this guy got into it. He ended up upside down in his own race car with his hands touching his feet through the hatch. And they took me out of there either next week and they kicked me out for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Fined me, $10,000 and all this. So 2 weeks later, Scott decides to go backwards the wrong way around the racetrack. At what time the guy who owned the series and the race director I had on speed dial, so I texted him and said, so what I did was detrimental to the sport, but what Scott did wasn't. This guy could have killed somebody. I was
trying at the moment. I was mad.
Needless to say,
But Ricky Dennis told him.
I didn't mention no names. You're dropping names now. We don't drop
Ricky
names.
Dennis told him that had it not been the last race of the season, Scott would have been in some deep trouble. But the last race of the season, they let it go.
We ran into him, Rich, and he's like, "You got away with one." I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "Ray Charles seen what you was doing. Don't act like you don't know." I was like, "Man, all I could see was red at that moment."
You talk about racing and stuff. I've been coming to Langley. I was here the night that Bill Dennis put Tommy Ellis through the back straightaway guardrail.
Uh-oh. I bet that was an experience.
Tommy Ellis didn't come say anything to Bill Dennis.
Yeah, well.
That was
100 years ago.
late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah, early 80s.
My first race here was 1978.
Wow.
My first race at Southside was 72. I was 2 years old.
Howard Cruz.
Then I
was
got
running.
kicked out of that place.
Howard Cruz.
Man, there's a
remember that
theme
name.
here, Hippie.
Yep.
I only went to Southside a couple times the whole time it was open. I never went up there very often.
Well, if everything works right, you'll get to go again.
Well, that was something I've been reading a lot about that.
That can caveat into another segment. Would you like to expound on that, sir?
You opened your mouth.
You opened
You're not
You
started.
opened
We
the
want to
words.
know about it.
Not that you would ever do that.
There's a meeting Thursday night in Chesterfield County.
I saw that.
Okay. Attend if you can.
And there's another meeting
There's a
scheduled.
good friend of ours that's pushing really hard to open that thing back up. And that'll be good for everyone. Because if he does it, and he does it the way, he actually called my phone as we were standing at the doorway coming in here. If he gets everything going and it does like it should be NASCAR, and that's what he's working towards.
Well, that'll be good. I mean,
It'll be very
you hate to see a racetrack
Especially that one.
close up like it did.
Especially that one.
You know, I'm still having problems with Southampton being closed. You know?
Yeah,
That was a good place.
it was.
Is that
One
Randy
some there?
Nestor?
Yes.
Actually, was Sean Palooza.
He used to be the flagman. No,
Who?
Randy Nestor. Was he the
I don't know.
flagman?
I don't think he
Think
was
so.
a fan. Well, he's helped out.
Was he an official?
I don't know. He's talking about.
Randy's ever.
I guess so, because he said, "Well, I think wasn't he a flagman at South?"
No, Randy Nestor, I think, is the one who used to help out Buffkin.
Then
Pretty
he,
sure.
then he was a flagman here. So
Yeah.
in 1987, I came off of turn 4.
Mm-hmm.
And
Monte Carlo, buddy.
got
Frisco.
and got hooked into the right rear and went into the guardrail. That's what they had here, and kind of rolled 6 times down the front straightaway. And Randy was standing in the flag stand at one time. I think he left the flag stand as I was coming at him. So I apologize, Randy. I mean, years under the water under the bridge.
So you've had some driving experience too, with it.
I have.
Whoa. He had steering wheel
I
holding
had
experience. Steering wheel holding
I was like,
experience.
Scott, I'll attest to that. I had steering wheel holding experience in my early years.
Man, don't put me with you.
Well, hey, look, I'll tell you what they need to do. They need to come up with like the Enduro series and let you and Woody, Scott,
You know, like I've been
let
saying.
y'all run a
offered to
race
put a car
together.
together.
Yeah, Mason, you'd be good in that thing.
I've won in it.
Yeah, so
But they-
you're
got
excluded then. You're excluded.
But the thing about it is,
You've got to run a 3-cylinder Geo then.
but the thing about it is, I know that if I get in one and I don't do well and Scott beats me, I'll never hear the end of it.
I know how to fix
See,
that.
that's-
I know how to fix
Listen to
that.
that fear.
You see this right here? Write us a check. We can make sure we can make that happen for you.
But then if
Because I hate to say this, and I've said it before and I'll say it again. Most people catching me cheating is like a Boy Scout looking for a bank robber. Not gonna happen.
So you ain't helping Scott then. I'm
I told you once, Scott's got to help himself.
Yeah, well, you know, I know that if I did do good in one, then I'd be wanting to do it all the time. And
And as I said, write us a check right there. We can accommodate you.
I can't do that all the time. I'm getting older
You
now.
should do it twice a year.
I was gonna say they run
Phone's
right.
We got some pizza.
Look at
Robert
that.
John's.
Baba John, one of y'all's sponsors.
But you know.
Oh, you know.
And I don't want
what
you can leave that start and park thing alone, okay? Just leave
Can
that.
I?
Yeah, just
No.
don't even discuss that no more.
Here's what I'll do. Here's how I'll leave it alone. You and Scott run the bag race one year. Y'all decide who drives and who navigates. You gotta be in the same car.
Now, explain.
Gotta be in the same- we gotta be in the
explain
same car?
Explain the back.
Driver has a bag over his head. Passengers tell him where to go.
Oh my.
Could you imagine?
Oh, that'd be like me riding with you.
Well, Scott would have to have the bag on his face. But anyway, we're not going to discuss it anymore.
Wonderful topics here, guys.
God, tell him.
This is
I know,
amazing.
right?
This is what we do every Tuesday night. We break off and do a whole bunch. See, now Scott's going to forget about the show the rest of the way. Now
Oh,
he
I'm
done
hungry.
he done got him some food.
Y'all want something to eat?
No, thank you.
We're good.
But it,
I mean, it's like,
I did one time, started the race and pulled off before the end of the race because I wanted to be the first car out for kids night. I mean, that was my thing. My kids were there. I wanted to be the first car. Winning didn't matter at that point.
Right.
Well, let's be honest. It wasn't an option.
It could have been an option all the way. But anyway, I pulled off and went to they wanted to know what I was doing because I drove all the way through the pit and came back up the hill with Southampton on the other side of the hill and parked right on the top of the hill. And the flagman was going at the top of the hill, going, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm sitting right here till this race is over." And when they finished that race, I drove right out on the track, went right on around it, and was the first one in line for kids' night.
That's awesome.
So that's all I did. That's all I wanted to do. I mean, you know, and my kids thought that was the greatest thing in the world. So, you know,
That's what it's all about.
and then all I have to hear is all these guys talking about start and park.
Hey, look,
I never
Man.
fired the first shot. You always shoot ahead, and I'm like, hey,
we had Joe Nemechek on. This was like the height of the start and park stuff. And we're talking to Joe's how he got started in mini stocks. Jack's like, "Hey, we got something in common. We both started in mini stocks." I said, "Jack, he didn't start and park no mini stock." Joe was like, "Ho, ho, ho, look, we only started and parking that car because we ain't got the money."
he done upset the guy.
I couldn't help it.
Scott has a habit of, you know, he starts stuff with people, you know, like
How
Red
could
Farm,
you do that?
like
I
Red
can't
Farm.
believe somebody would actually do that.
there's no one else on the show does that.
I know.
Red Farmer. He got Red Farmer mad at him.
Yeah.
I can't even call him no more.
Ray told me I need to get a hero card and study before I call him
Oh,
interview
boy.
me next time.
I mean, man's a Hall of Famer.
Let's get back to the real racing stuff that we done went off on all the tirades here. But with the start parts. I just said start parts.
He can't get it out of
Where
his
to
mind
go?
now.
You done
Just
started
get it
that.
out.
Yeah, I get mad when I hear that.
I got you.
But with with you guys when they're renting the cars out and doing all that stuff, that seems to be a big trend now in the late model division throughout. I mean, Pulliam's got them. Justin Johnson's got some. I mean, that seems to be a big thing now.
Well, I go back to the same thing as far as technology is changing every day.
Hourly.
Every day.
Minute, yeah.
Hourly.
Hourly, if you will. goes back to the same thing is that if you're wanting to be competitive in this series or even above this series, you've got to have that technology. You've got to be able to get to that technology and or speak to someone about that technology. And then you have to be able to try it. So there's cost involved for trying certain technologies. It may work. How many times have we thrown stuff in the trash can because it didn't work, or cut it apart and tried to use it again to make it work a different way? So time is a huge cost factor for most people.
You have to pay for technology. If you own your own vehicle, own your own race car, you got to pay. I mean, you might stumble upon something here and there, but somebody comes up with something, it's going to cost you. You know, Smokey Unick, probably one of the best guys ever in the business, signing his business, said, speed costs money, how fast you want to go.
That's right.
That's never died. That's how it is.
Yeah, I can see that.
How many guys do y'all have at the shop?
Us three, and then we've got
Daniel,
Eric. Then, I mean, we have some hit and miss people come in like that right there. We probably, altogether, we probably got 7 to 8 people that we can have in there at one time.
At one time.
We make a phone call, we can probably put 7 in the shop, 8.
Yeah.
Something like
Most,
that.
So is this-
most of those supports come to the racetrack,
Mm-hmm.
and then at the shop. So down at the bar, we pretty much do that stuff.
So you keep it in house.
To keep it in-house. Absolutely.
Yes.
I'm pretty funny about who works on what I work on.
Yeah.
I'm,
And you
something
have
falls
to.
off a race
Yeah,
car
I
I work
agree with
on,
that.
You
I'm
have
not
to.
happy.
I mean, we're very, very detail oriented, if you will.
Detail checklist, check it 5 times. I check the bolt. He goes behind me and checks it, and if he goes behind him, I mean, we
And then
have
after
no
everyone
problem
checks it,
being
somebody
repetitive
safety wires it pretty much.
on things like
That's
that.
about how it normally works.
So you do a lot of the fabrication stuff, right? Do you?
Pretty much.
He does 98% of the fabricating, and mechanical wise, and truck driver, that's me. I drive the truck the 300 miles every weekend to and from Dominion Speedway. And most of the time I'm gone Friday and come back Sunday.
Yeah, that's pretty much
so-
for us coming from the beach.
We thank our spouses, if you will, for taking for letting us do this, if you will, to make sure that we're successful.
But then some people live right there in Thornburg itself. So
Well, that's
he
true.
don't have to worry. He gets to go home and sleep in his
He
bed.
just gets an extra 15 minutes of sleep. How's that?
Oh, okay.
12.
But
12 minutes.
but yes, it's very rewarding when we see the fruits of our labor. It's very rewarding when we take someone else's car and bring it to the shop and go through our checklist and take it back to the speedway, and they're successful.
And we just did that with the Johnsons.
Yep.
Yeah.
The Johnsons ran the Dominion race, one of the last
Yeah, they
races.
didn't run it all last year, and they did some stuff and tried doing some upgrades and got another car, and
So
we see
It was
them.
the father and the son.
Yeah,
Just like,
yeah.
And we actually eat dinner there. They own Peanuts Seafood and Steak up there, and we eat there a lot on Friday nights. Got in conversation. They've seen the success we've had, so we had the opportunity to work on their cars, which they raced the weekend we were in Martinsville. But both of them had probably the best finishes they've had since they raced or in their racing there.
How long have y'all been doing this?
We started our business in 2018.
Okay.
And we ran through 2018, and then COVID kind of got us in 2020, but it pushed us back until the end of June and 1st of July. So we basically
Which
had
we
to-
actually tested before.
right.
We tested on the Friday that the Saturday, they shut everything down that Saturday. We tested that Friday
Damn.
at Dominion that Friday afternoon to race the next day, and they shut us down.
Damn.
We have the Camaro. We have 2 Camaro body cars. We have one of the what do you call them, the Impala body
Impala.
cars. So as our backup car. And I mean, our,
Which is also a rental car. There's nothing wrong with it.
it's a top
We
5.
we rented it
rental
this
car.
year, and
John Alfred.
John
where
Alfred
did he
drove it.
finish? He finished in top 6 or something, wasn't it?
I know he had a couple top tens with the car.
So how many cars do y'all have in the fleet?
Well, what do we have in the shop right now?
We've got 3 Dominion racers.
Mhm.
We've got 2 late model stocks. We've got 1 super late, and we got 1 modified.
So now what do y'all do when one's racing in one racetrack and another one's racing in another?
That's why there's 3 of us.
Yeah.
We take our group.
We
and go
have
whatever
gone
direction.
we have gone 2 different directions before, and it's difficult, but it has to be based on our clientele and what we all agree with at the beginning. Do we take vacations? Absolutely, we do. We try to schedule our vacations and our time offs. I mean, part of our colors are green and really bright orange, and the bright orange part is hunters. So what do hunters do on like
In a couple of weeks.
In a couple of
See,
Yeah,
weeks.
it was like
They're-
season's over.
Racing
Hippie
season's
out.
over.
We're
and
counting the hours
They're
at this
counting the
point.
hours down, so
So you be there by yourself.
well, they'll be-
Second week of January, light goes green again.
That's right.
And
it's
we're back at it.
But my phone's always on.
That's
so
right.
That's the way it
Yes.
works. Like we go to different racetracks.
Mhm.
and
My
we
phone's
and
up.
we have a great
Rings.
support staff that comes to the shop. So while they're hunting, which is like I said, everyone has to have downtime. If you don't, you're going to explode, just like anything else. And as everyone knows, racing is it's a grueling time.
Mhm.
And when you're running with your hair on fire, 16, 18 weeks out of the year, you've got to have that downtime. Well, that's their downtime, which is great.
And that was this year because of the late model and running limiteds, even and they're on different schedules, so we didn't have that every other week.
Right. We were every week.
We run every week.
So it's
Do y'all normally carry one hauler? I mean, enough to carry
Hauler,
everything?
2 cars,
Yeah.
a stacker.
yeah,
At times
just
we were 2 dollars this year.
and sometimes
Yeah.
we were 2 haulers.
Yeah.
Okay.
So taking 3 cars.
Yeah.
Yep. So we have the resources to take all 3 cars at one time. I mean,
So technically you could take 4.
And
We could, yes.
We could.
And we've got
multiple pit cards go.
three fully stocked pit carts, pretty much 3 places to haul cars,
Mhm.
hauler wise.
When do you say no?
When they throw dirt in your face, that's when you quit. Ain't no quitting till then.
That's right.
Just like I told you, I mean, we had a guy that broke a clutch about 21 minutes after he
And
broke
it
it.
was a
That
rental.
thing was rolling
It
out.
was
That
a
was a
rental
rental car. I mean, the driver we had it done and out so that he could take it on the racetrack that had fan appreciation because he wanted to sign autographs. He was getting ready to take his suit off and just go sign autographs
He
for
didn't
his
know we
little
were going to be
hero
able to
cars.
fix it.
Mm.
He didn't have a
Cool.
clue what we were doing until we were done.
and we have a reputation at the racetrack that when there's other people that they'll jump in and help us out.
That's a good
Or
And
we'll
we-
go help them.
Or we go help them.
There's lots,
you know,
whenever you all do the same thing.
God-
I mean,
God bless
It's
them.
amazing how that works. I mean,
It does.
The last few weeks, I've been going to the racetrack, to the car series with Minnie Tyrell and them. And this past weekend, a competitor had a right front tire blow and hit the fence. My best friend, Brandon Butler, crew chief's Minnie. That's how I go with Minnie and all that. And I asked him, I said, do we offer them help? He's like, absolutely. So Brandon went over there and said, look, if we can help you, we will. And I mean, this is Sam Yalber from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. We have no ties with him, but I mean,
it's a competitor, but you still, that's the whole thing
Well,
about the racing.
that's the reason why a lot of people look at the sport of racing as being a family thing, especially on the local level.
It is. You're exactly
Everybody's willing to help everybody. Even Scott gets help.
Yeah.
And
mental or
and that's just like Hippie was talking about. We were able to put a clutch in the car. That's one good process that we have is we have a 48-foot stacker that's stocked. If we need a spindle, we need a lower control arm. If we need a rear end, if we need a radiator, if we need a transmission, if we need ball joints, if we need what we need. If we left the shop because we're 150 miles away, if we left the shop, no one would have to go back and get something to bring it to the racetrack. Now, do we have people support that could do that? Yes. But when we roll into the racetrack, we want to make sure that we're sustainable. If we're running twin nights with one of our clients, he's expecting or she's expecting to run that second
Yeah.
race.
The year before last, we went out to qualify with a driver that rented our car. And he went out to qualify on the second lap. He said he had a real bad vibration. We looked and it had a broken hub on the right front. The Dominion Racer was the second race. We did not have the exact hub, so that meant we had to re-space the rotor. I mean, it was a lot to it. We were on the grid, ready to go in time.
That is what they're paying for. That is about the rental.
They're paying to race,
development,
not paying
helping
to.
their marketing, helping
Right.
them succeed in their future if they want to continue racing with
so
Gen
you-
X or without Gen X.
Mhm. So you guys do help with like social media stuff too? I mean,
Correct. We
That's
send them in that direction and help them and coach them and remind them, hey, so-and-so spun me and wrecked me.
Don't
So
say
don't get on your social media and talk about it,
Mhm.
be positive, those things. That's why I like the kids when we can help them, helping out the Smiths, whatever we can do for Riley, like they practiced last week. We had tires. Phil called. Woody says, we got tires at the shop. Come on.
They're already mounted.
We
Come
want to
get 'em.
see them succeed and step up in other classes. I'll step over Rhonda and Billy Smith because Billy Smith Sr. made it clear to me when I seen him a couple weeks ago that his granddaughter was not going to step up to something else. She was going straight to a limited. So that could be in her future. So helping them, technology is not a lot that we can share, with the
Right.
Bando stuff, but coaching or anything that we can share with them, send them some tires, sponsor wise, however.
Business partners. And that's what we have to do is we have to create business partners in this organization.
And everybody comes in at a different level. Not everybody has
Absolutely.
the money to go full money, and they want to do different stuff. If they want to own their own car or whatever, we do stuff like that. It doesn't matter. We'll go from one end of the spectrum to the other.
Just
Doesn't
case
matter.
in point, right now, we have Andrew Lang, the 39 car up at Dominion.
Georgia Tech engineer,
Georgia
student,
Tech engineer.
just did project for GM.
So he's a great young man, great family. They own their own car. We just take care of it. We bring it to the racetrack. We crew chief it. I spot for it. And Wayne does the tires, or works with his father. His whole family's there as a family affair, if you will.
Just
And-
know knowledge, so it benefits them once they realize what we could bring to the table.
Mhm.
Well, and
So-
we had worked on the car, and he ran pretty well.
Right.
And they took the car home and worked
Stayed in
on
the
it or
trailer.
whatever.
Well, stayed in
And
the
then they
trailer.
came back to the racetrack. Did not run very well for the next two races. Brought it back to us and went right back to being in the top three.
So then what is the Gen X technology? What exactly is that going to bring? You talking about next year?
That's more to come on that. I can't
Absolutely.
say a ton about that, but that's a umbrella company from Gen X Motorsports.
Remind me to write that down. Bring
Yes.
HIPPY
Yeah,
back in here.
absolutely. Yeah, we'll be more
Because
than
he's been telling us a whole lot of stuff, and we ain't getting nowhere with
I'd be
it.
more than happy to come back on, Jack. And
It's
this
and
is,
we'll
you got to
share
make
that
sure the
as well.
the timing's got to be right.
That's
That's
right.
what I'll say.
And then you got
It's not totally announced.
lawyers involved in
Correct.
starting up the new business and business license and patenting and all that. So that's why you can't really get into the detail.
I understand that.
And you're asking about, doing this and that and the other. A lot of this stuff with racing, people don't put patents on, but that might
Well,
be in
right.
the future.
When you talk about the younger people that come into the racing that you all want to help,
Mhm.
you see them come in at different levels of how their knowledge and
Mhm.
everything is. How do you school them? I mean, there's a lot of kids that don't, all they want to do is like Scott, get in the car and buckle up and go racing.
Right.
he is an exception sometimes. So we'll take that.
Well, the thing, 9 times out of 10, that's where all the drivers are. Because when they race go-karts, their mom and their dad did everything for them, where they weren't old enough to do this and that and the other. They can bolt tires on, stuff like that, but changing the gear and stuff, the mom and the dad and the other older people did that. So what we try to do is if the parent who's doing the deal, they're like, hey, Andrew Lang's prime example. He wants to learn.
Absolutely.
So we get his hands dirty.
He comes to the
We-
shop.
That's what I was trying to
We've,
get at.
we've had drivers that come in and, they get dirt on their hands. They got window cleaner spraying on their hands trying to
Yeah,
get the dirt
they're
off.
there to show up and put on the uniform and get in the car. The conversation is on the headset with them. When they get out of the car, the first thing to do is talk to HIPPY. Downloads what the car is doing. That is a challenge. You're talking about young drivers. So it's getting them and learning
Go eat
them.
skills.
You know what? I like to in some of these divisions. I love to see some of these guys that are drivers get out and at least make an attempt to know what's going on with their own car, and you don't see a lot of that anymore.
And you're exactly right, Jack. But the best part about our program is that we want you to be involved. We want you to be under the car. We want you to be pulling stuff apart. But the best part about it is when, and HIPPY will talk about this a lot, is testing. That is the perfect time that you can talk to a driver that's not under pressure right then. That is the perfect time to talk about, let's go around the racetrack in a pickup truck. And I've watched him do it multiple times, he and I both. And like I said, with speaking to a driver on the radio, not give you a great example. I told a person to clear the motor out, thinking that person would understand what I'm discussing is pushing the clutch in, clear the motor out, let the clutch back out. But I didn't explain myself for just something that small. So that being said, when we do testing, it is an event. It is a situation to where we're taking the time, not only just to run laps on the car, to burn fuel, to burn tires, but that's a training tool right there that we look at. And then when you start breaking down corners, when you start breaking down corner speeds, when you start breaking down, letting off, going in, backing the corners up, whatever you may be, that's where we three, if you will, add that technology, add that conversation to the driver so that they're more comfortable.
Yeah.
And we've used multiple late model drivers to do those rides also in the pickup.
Absolutely.
Davy's done it for us, but we've used other drivers. Hey, can you get in this car? Can you show them? Robert's done it. Cole Bruce did that for us a couple of times. Show them, let them watch you. Then they get in the car in a truck, pickup, or personal vehicle, ride with that driver. So now he is coaching. So those are other things that we bring to the table, is utilizing all the resources.
And race day is not a good day to teach.
Absolutely.
No, you can't teach
that's
online.
That's not a teaching day.
I'm not a very pleasant person on race day. I'm kind of got my
I can
mind set
vouch
on
for that.
what
I
I'm
can
doing.
vouch for that.
Pretty much got my mind set on what I'm doing. I'm not the most friendly on race day.
It's a pressure pack situation.
No, it's like war. You're either on my team or you're my enemy at that point. If you're on my team, I'll talk to you all day long. If you're not with me, just leave me.
So mean.
So
to me.
You could have joined up. You had the opportunity to
Everyone
join
has a
up.
job to do. That's the best part about it. When we show up, everyone has a job to do, and we're focused on that job, and we're trying to get every ounce of power, every ounce of rubber on the road, every ounce of chassis technology going through that car. And then the driver has to put his foot down where they're supposed to, he or she.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's where it comes into play.
Now, do you guys have rules for some of these younger kids that come in?
Expound on that.
Like, okay, they got to do good in school, or there's.
Well, that's more of a parental
Look,
thing.
but still,
I raise my own kids. I can't raise my own.
But I know some guys that do similar things when they have these young kids come along. And,
There is discussion in school or what they're involved in, just because we start during the school year.
Yeah.
So that is more, they'll tell you that's more me,
Mhm.
dealing with that business side of it. So dealing with the parents or just having that discussion, because yes, I have gotten a phone call and said, oh, by the way,
Mhm.
so-and-so did this week. So
Right.
they're in trouble. Okay, that's fine.
And he gets their head straight to come to the racetrack for testing. Because if you've had, let's give you a great example. If you had a bad test, now you're on restriction. When you come to the racetrack, you're still on restriction, if you will,
Mhm.
because you still have sponsorships to fulfill, if
Right.
you will.
Mhm.
That's where Wayne comes in to make sure that your head's right before you have to talk to him, if you will, on test night.
Yeah, because I don't have time for discipline like that. I don't have time for that.
But
All right, I'm gonna the scenario of the parents.
Mhm.
Okay, how many times have you had problems with parents saying, "Oh, I done
We had a
got
great show tonight. Let's.
Wait, you want the seat back?
Go ahead.
You want the seat back, bud?
Go ahead, Zach. Ask.
You know what I'm saying? With the parents, you know, I can think of one scenario that I've run into already here at Langley with a parent.
Correct.
And you know, my son, my whatever is the greatest. They, you know, you can't tell them that, you know, this needs to
Well,
be done.
I mean,
how much do you spend time
Well,
with them?
first of all, I'm a parent. I'm a grandparent. So, Hippy a parent. Woody's a parent. You're right. My kid's the best. My kid's doing it right. I don't care what your kid's doing. But you have that conversation with the parents at the right time to say, this is the time that we'll discuss this. This is the time we'll share it. And then, you know, there's parents when things happen, they crash cars, and I don't care how old the kid is or adulthood or whatever, there becomes other friction from other cars, and you got to talk and show them how to handle that.
But how much do you deal with the parents? All right, let's say they're getting ready to sign a contract with you guys to go to rent one of your cars.
So first there is a general sit down with the three of us and the parent or whoever's going to be writing the check, basically.
Whoever's name's gonna be on the contract.
We go to dinner and we have conversation. No contract signs. Then the three of us, Gen X, sit down the next day, conference call, or whatever's going on for the day, and then we discuss the evening before. Because sometimes it might not be a right fit. It's not about who brings the money.
That's
It's about
what-
the right fit for us.
It's gotta be a
And
total
what-
package.
Yes, all around. So yes, dealing
I'm
with
out.
the parents, helping the parents, and you'd be surprised. I mean, you kind of see Xfinity has gone there. They bring the money, they bring the parents, they bring the PR people. That's basically where we're at this level, at the short track.
And then after they get to the point of telling us how great their kid is, and I've heard enough, I tell them I'm from Missouri, the show me state, show me, because they haven't shown me so far.
And yes.
They keep you straight over here.
Yes, they do. That's why he does the public relations.
I can see it already.
You know,
He looks like
Sport needs more honesty.
hippie. Calm down. Calm down.
And then
no, it says hippie. Walk down to turn one. Walk to turn one. You'll be out.
I need
we
you
have
to
a
do something over
conference
there.
call. We have a conference call with our driver and or parents every Tuesday based off of what the weekend was.
Mhm.
So when we have that conversation, we have our bullet points that we want to discuss. They have their bullet points, what they want to discuss. And then we have to come to a happy median on where the progress is either lacking or we are progressing.
Yeah, I can see that.
And then what are we going to do different on both sides to get us in the victory lane and or succeed? Because he can build the best car in the world. He can do the best PR in the world. I can turn as many wrenches and take it to wherever you want to in the world. But if the person in the car is not sold on it or is not going to perform to the level of the car, then you go backwards.
We've had drivers drive the car, but has run out front, restart, run out front, restart. A little bit of confrontation on the restart, and then they back up, and next thing you know, they're third, fourth, fifth when they've led just about the whole race. Those are the challenges of driver to parents. Are you committed as a parent for a crash clause, or are you going to talk all week about don't tear up the car because we're going to have to write a check? So that's why there's multiple conversations before we decide who fits that. And that's going back to what they're talking about.
Go back to another scenario. You got a parent that brings the child or the kid and says, we're going to do this. But the kid doesn't show do you all see it at that point and say, we ain't
Correct.
doing this.
Correct.
Correct. We, yeah.
And it goes back to the same thing. It's not all about the check.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's about the performance. The check pays the bills, okay? But it's still, we have to go back to performance. Who's going to have both of the performance?
That's what I was,
Absolutely.
I just know how parents, so I've had to deal with a lot of parents in my time.
And we have as well.
Yeah,
And that's fine.
Well,
And
if you have any problems with them, send them my way.
send them this way.
I need them to come back sometimes. Well, I appreciate you guys being here, coming all the way down. I mean, you come all the way down here. I mean, that's a big deal. I appreciate you doing that for us
No
because
problem, anytime.
it's a big deal for us to have you here. I enjoyed my time with you guys up at Martinsville.
Did y'all feed him?
No.
No, I don't think
I
we
was
did.
wondering if that's why he was sucking.
We clothed him, but didn't feed him. So.
Well, I saw him. You weren't wearing their shirt.
Well, I didn't have it until later on. When you saw me, I didn't have it yet.
Right. Okay.
Callahan got it for me.
Did he have a shirt on?
That's a
If you didn't, I wouldn't have seen him.
And Jack and Scott, thank you so much for inviting.
No, we
Gen X
really
Motorsports
appreciate it. We really
to
appreciate it.
speak about this.
And I want to come down and see your place one time. So when I get a chance, I'm gonna come to Virginia Beach and
Please
check
do.
it out.
Come on.
Yeah, we'll just show up randomly.
I mean, he just showed up at Kenny's house. So
Oh,
why
great.
look out in the yard?
I know, right?
That's not a problem.
And if the gate's closed, you don't come in to get
Watch
Well,
out.
Kenny's gates was wide open, so I didn't.
We got a mean dog in there. His name's Sick'em Sam. He's not very nice.
He's got an 8-foot fence around it just to make sure.
Okay.
So if I see Sick'em Sam, I'm not even gonna come
You're
in.
not
No
gonna
way.
see
You won't see him.
You won't see him.
He'll see you before you see him.
I won't even make that one. Then. But anyway, we appreciate you guys making the effort to come out here and be with us tonight. And really, y'all got a great program, and I'm really.
Well, if anyone's interested, please reach out to Wayne on
You can find
Facebook.
us on Facebook, Gen X Motorsports, Wayne Doolin, Jamie Woodard,
That's right.
Doug Strother, HIPPY.
We do have our email is Gen X Motorsports with an S at gmail.com. If you'd like to shoot us an email, if you're interested in one of our programs, love to sit down and speak to someone.
It's really well. I appreciate it. You guys have got a great thing going, and hopefully we'll see more of y'all this coming year. We're down here at Langley, some maybe.
Well,
Hopefully.
so.
All right, that's our show for tonight. Next week, we only got one guest lined up right now. I mean, I got some others lined up, but I haven't got their actual. Yeah, I'm going to be there.
Confirmation.
Yeah,
That's what we
but
call
we
it.
got one. But so we'll be here next week.
Great.
Please like and share our show and everything around, and we appreciate these guys for being here with us tonight. Thank you
so much. Thank you.
Enjoy.